Hello everybody. In this video we're going to make a piano inside Minecraft that will play the notes on a hardware speaker using the Espruino development board. So you can get the code for this at github.com/foamyguy/mcpi_with_Espruino. This is a collection of examples for how you can interface Minecraft with the Espruino. And the example that we're going to look at today is number 4, musical notes. So go ahead and get this code downloaded or copy it out of there, however you want to get it. The first thing to note here, the actual piano part of this is actually mostly adapted from this other piece of work here by Martin O'Hanlon from his site, Stuff About Code. He created a piano, and I think it's using Pygame to play the notes back. I basically just modified his code a little bit to play the notes back using tones out of an actual speaker from the Espruino. So if you don't have a speaker to set up, but you still want to do this, definitely I recommend you to check out his site because you can still do all of this stuff and just make the notes play out of your computer instead of a speaker. First we're going to look at the JavaScript code, which is the code that we'll need to run on the Espruino itself. So I've got the Espruino hooked up to my computer. I've got the IDE open here. I'm going to go ahead and clear that just so we are working with a blank slate. And this is the code. You can find it, like I said, on GitHub before. It's in one of the files there. And you'll want to paste the code out of that project into this right half of the Espruino IDE. And then what you should be able to do is uncomment this thing down here at the bottom that says play scale, and then go ahead and click the send to Espruino. And if everything works, you should see all of this stuff printed out, and you should hear those sounds. So this is a good method down here that will just let you make sure you have your circuit hooked up correctly. Speaking of the circuit, let's look at that real quick. This is a very, very basic circuit. The only thing that we have going on here is a standard speaker. I have reused one rather, from a Snap Circuits, which is like a electronical circuits set that uses these snap together buttons, but you can use any speaker, it doesn't really matter. And you'll be able to hook it up just the same. So this is a picture of my setup here. And what you need to do is hook up the positive wire on your speaker to the pin A0 on the Espruino, and then hook up the negative wire on your speaker to the ground on the Espruino, and that is it. So this is a really basic circuit, and that's all you have to do to get it hooked up. So jumping back over to the Espruino code, what we have is a dictionary that maps together the name of notes along with the frequency that you need in order to play that note out of a speaker. Now I just found these online somewhere. I guess this is just common knowledge and somebody posted that stuff online. I had no idea before, but I guess these are the frequencies that you need to run through the speaker in order to make these respective notes. So you have C4 right here would be middle C, for those of you familiar with musical notes, and then on up D, E, F, G, A, B, C again, all the way up. And in this code I've got all the frequencies for the 3rd octave all the way through the 5th octave. So we have quite a range here that you can play around with if you like. So that's our dictionary. Next we have a scale array. This is just an array that will hold the notes that we want to play in a scale. So for this example, it only has the 4th and 5th octaves, so it starts at middle C and goes up 2 octaves and then back down when you play the scale. There is a function called play note, and the way this works is you can pass it the note you want to play. So if you want to play C4, you can pass it in as the parameter and it will play that note for you. Pretty simple stuff there. Then is the rest function. This you can optionally pass it some time, but basically it will just turn off the speaker. So if you want to put a rest in between the notes of your song, you can call this. You can pass it the amount of time that you want it to rest for, or if your speaker is playing and you just want it to turn off, you can call the rest function without passing any parameters. The last thing inside here is the test function that will play the scale up and down. And again, you can uncomment this code down here at the bottom in order to make sure that you have your circuit hooked up correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that again real quick because it's kind of fun to listen to. And there we go. Okay, so as long as you get that scale, then you're ready to move on to the Python code. But before you do, it's very important that you use this little button up here in the left-hand corner of the Espruino IDE to disconnect, because the Espruino, it takes a serial connection and it can only have one program connected to it at a time. So since we want to make our Python program connected to it, we actually need to disconnect it from the Espruino IDE. So you can just go ahead and click that. That will disconnect there. And then if we jump into the Python code, what we have is, I should have had this ready. There we go. Here's the Python code. Let's get rid of everything else. So this is a Python code. Like I mentioned before, this is adapted mostly from Martin O'Hanlon, a piece of code from his website, Stuff About Code. And basically what I did was remove the Pygame from it and have it send commands through the serial port to the Espruino to have it play the notes. So I'll run through this real quick. Basically what we have is a couple imports. Import the Minecraft class stuff, time, serial we need obviously to interact with the Espruino, so we import that. That's a little bit different than what Martin had. And basically what we want to do is open up our serial port, and for me, the Espruino, it happens to be on the serial port number 22, which is actually COM23. I don't know why it's 22 and 23, but mine happens to be on 22. If yours is not on 22, then you'll have to change this value to make it work so that your Python code knows where to find the Espruino. And real quick, I can show you where you find that. If you hit this connect thing here, you can see I have two serial devices, COM1 and COM23. I don't know what COM1 is, but COM23 happens to be the Espruino, and through a bit of trial and error, I figured out that COM23 actually matches up to port 22 right here, so that's what I had to put that value as. We create the Minecraft object, and this is one of the main changes from the previous version of this application. Is instead of holding wave files here, we're going to hold the strings that represent which notes we want to play. So we have F3, G3, A3, B3, so on and so forth. And one other change that I did make was originally this code was using the dirt block here instead of the bookshelf, and I found that the dirt blocks kept changing into grass, which changed the note that it wanted to play when you hit that block. So I changed it to the bookshelf. I'm guessing, and I haven't played much Minecraft on the Raspberry Pi, I'm guessing maybe the Raspberry Pi dirt doesn't have the mechanic where it changes into grass or something, but I'm playing on the PC, and my dirt blocks kept changing into grass, so I had to change this to the bookshelf instead of the dirt block. So just remember, if you do that, to lay your piano out in the world with the bookshelf. So then it'll post to the chat. That's from the original code. Here's our main loop. Basically, we're just going to wait and listen for the keyboard interrupt. If you press Control-C, it will close the program. Otherwise, we're going to check the block hits, and for each block hit, we're going to check the type of block that was hit, and then if it appears in this blocks to notes dictionary, if it appears in there, then it will send it via the serial writing to the Espruino. So basically, we declared this function back here, play note function, and it accepts the notes that we want to play. And the Espruino, you can just send it commands through the serial port. So we can just say serial.write or ser.write, play note, and then we want to pass it in whichever note it is that we want to play, which we will get by looking it up through the dictionary right here. So when we hit a block, we check for it in the dictionary. This variable right here, note to play, it will get set to the note that we want to play. So if we hit the gravel block, then it will get set to D4. And then we will substitute it in right here when we send it over the serial port. Play note, it will be D4, and then we have a semicolon because that's one command, and then we actually want to do a rest right after that so that it just plays like a single note and then stops. It doesn't just hold that note forever. And that's it, really. That's all there is to this Python code. So you should be able to run this right here. and you should see this print out the serial port that it found your Espruino on. If it doesn't print this, then you probably have the wrong port number set here. Just go back and double check what port your Espruino is on and change that, and then try to rerun it. And now we can bring it all together. Let's go ahead and make it night out, or daytime out actually though. Time set 0. And you should be able to hit each of these blocks and have it play the note from the piano coming out of the speaker. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have fun playing around with the Espruino in Minecraft, and check back soon for some more interesting stuff. Thanks for watching.